An emergency, right, the distance it takes for a car to stop moving completely as given by the d, right, the distance d equals to 0.15 v squared plus v. So in part 1, when the car has only 80 meters to stop, it means that so-called your d has to be like less than equals to 80, because this distance 80 meters is like your braking distance, right? So it's basically trying to tell you that, you know, hey guys, our d at most is 80. Okay, so I want to show the following inequality. So what do? Very simple. I mean, I just know that well, if they're saying that d equals to 0.15 v squared, right, plus v in the question, and at the same time, if this has to be less than equals to 80, right, because I'm saying that my d has to be less than equals to 80, I naturally get an inequality. Okay, so I have only up to 80 meter to stop. Okay, can I mean, if you think about braking distance, definitely the lesser the better lah. Correct or not? If you take very long to brake, then likely the car is going to get into an accident. So look at the context also. Okay, and after that, you have 0.15 v squared. Remember I told you, okay, the 4 steps, you always make the right hand side 0. You ensure that coefficient of v squared is positive. Okay, third step, you factorize and you try to find the X intercept. Now this looks quite challenging, so what I'm going to do is maybe I'll multiply by 100. Okay, so just to get rid of that decimal number, it's very disgusting. Okay, so here 0.15 v squared, I end up with a 15 v squared. 100 I get 100 v. 80 I get 8,000 right over here. And maybe I just divide by 5 on both sides, since I see that they're all multiples of 5. If I divide by 5 on both sides, just to make the coefficient smaller, so that I get a nicer inequality. Now probably on this part, you may find that, you know, trying to factorize it may be a challenge lah. Okay, so not to worry. If you use the, sorry, let me just edit my answers a bit. I didn't transfer properly. So of course, okay, we managed to show the inequality over here. Okay, so part 2 requires us to solve the inequality to find the maximum speed. So how do we solve the inequality? So of course, you see, if you try to solve, I mean, some of you may end up using quadratic formula. I mean, that's fine. Okay, so you can also solve it using factorization. Okay, so this is factorizable for info. You can factorize this. Okay, if you use a calculator, just make sure you know how to transfer the answers properly. V minus 20, okay, less than equals to 0. That means that your answers here, the X intercepts, all right, if you equate this portion to 0 to find the X intercepts, your X intercepts are basically, I won't go through this part, it's negative 80/3 and 20. All right, so the last part, you sketch the curve, it's a positive, is v, right? The horizontal axis is v. So sorry, I should call it the v intercept, and write out negative 80/3 and 20. All right, so less than equals to 0, it means that you want the portion that's underneath the v-axis. All right, so this is the portion that will cause your graph. The graph of y equals to 3v plus 80, v minus 20, and you want it to be less than equals to 0. Now this is the portion here where your y is less than equals to 0. And what do you do then? Well, this is the portion here, right? For it to be less than equals to 0, you know that the corresponding values are basically your v has to be more than negative 80/3 and less than equals to 20. Okay, so I mean, if you look at v is a speed. What does it tell you? So remember, this is not velocity, this is speed. So speed cannot be negative. Okay, so another context is if you already asked to present the answer, which the question didn't, is you have to make sure that you reject the negative speed. Okay, it has to be more than 0. So what's the maximum value of the maximum speed? If you look at the question, the maximum speed here, because you know that the maximum value of here, I mean, just look at this inequality, right? What's the highest value of v that you can get? Sorry, this one is an accident. Okay, well, you can see that the maximum speed is 20. So the max speed of the car